Hello and welcome to Disney with the Ducks. I am your host for tonight, Lonnie G. And hey, I can't do this by myself because basically I just don't have the skill set. So I do have a great flock of ducks that's joining me tonight. We have Jody B. How are you, Jody?
Hi, friends.
And the rumors of his demise have been greatly exaggerated. He is back. Jeff, how are you doing, sir?
Good, Lonnie. I have to show up every couple months just to make sure people know I'm still a part of this. So here we go. This is my token holiday special.
Well, thank you, sir, for making time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight.
I graced you with my present.
After tonight, I'll see you, say, January? January?
Sometime after the holidays, probably.
Okay, that'll work. And we have a very special guest. He's been on before. He's back by popular demand. Jared, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks, everybody, for having me again.
Awesome, man. Thanks for making time for us. So this is episode 140, the Wine Dine recap show.
Wait a second, Lonnie.
Yeah.
We're doing a trip report recap here?
Yes.
I don't do these episodes.
But in your contract, you have to do a certain number of episodes.
So I did not get the memo. That's what we were doing today.
Yeah. Well, because we didn't tell you that's what it was to trick you to come on. But now we got you. So you can't leave.
All right. We'll hang in there.
Yeah, hang in there, man. It's hard. So this is episode 140, the recap show, strictly for Jeff. I think Jeff's last time was Jeff Shorts. Or what's inside?
I think
Jeff
it was.
Shorts,
We did 2 in a row.
that was your last episode. So yeah. So we're gonna be talking about the Wine Dine race weekend. Can't wait to hear all about it. Very exciting times, right? Run Disney is back. The season started. We're only a few 59 days from Marathon Weekend.
We're not going to talk about it.
Oh, we're not going to talk about it. Okay, yeah, we don't talk about that. So excited about it. This episode is going to kick us off and get us fired up to go and run a lot of miles in January. So, but before we do, as always, guys, if you like what you hear, please take a moment to give us a like and subscribe. Give us a review on one of the socials or the podcatcher of your choice. It helps with the algorithm, helps people find us. Our goal is to have at least 5 followers by the end of this year. It only took us 140 episodes to get 4. Hopefully we get 5, right? You can help that if you leave us a review. So as always, we like to start by helping you guys get to know us better. So with that being said, the question for tonight is, because it's Wine Dine Race Weekend Recap, who is your favorite celebrity chef? Who is your favorite celebrity chef? Jody B, ladies first, kick us off. Who's your favorite chef?
Without a doubt, hands down, Bobby Flay. I'm a Bobby Flay fangirl. I own all of his cookbooks. I cook a Bobby Flay recipe at least once a week. He was supposed to come to Cincinnati to do a big event, and I had my cookbook ready for him to sign, and then it got rained out, and I was so sad. We watch Beat Bobby Flay all the time as a family. I love Bobby Flay. Now, my husband has a different answer, but that's my answer. I love. Big fan.
Okay. I'll be interested to know who's Tim's favorite.
I think one of you may know. Did I send the picture to one of you?
No, you did not.
Okay.
That must be one of those little sub threads that you have that you don't include everybody on.
So Tim spent some good quality time with Guy Fieri. They have some good selfies together. They had a bonding moment or two. So that's his favorite celebrity chef.
Right? Chicken guy. All right, then.
Yeah, chicken guy.
We'll take it. I love the. It's funny. My mom loves him as well. And every time I'm in New Orleans or back home in New Orleans, he did a show around there. She always wants me to bring him to one of the places. She wants me to bring her to one of the places that he featured on the show. So yeah, good deal. Jared, sir, celebrity chef, who's your favorite?
Alton Brown.
Oh.
I'm a big fan of Alton Brown. The show he used to do, Good Eats. I learned a lot from that show. It was entertaining and educational all at the same time. Hands down, Alton Brown.
He has to be the smartest chef. I mean, he's a wealth of information, man. He is awesome.
It's not just cooking; it's science.
Yeah, science. Jeff, Ronald McDonald does not count as a chef. So, who is your favorite chef, sir?
I was more leaning towards Chef Boyardee than Ronald McDonald, but for walking into ones that are on the Food Network, I'm a big fan of Michael Simon. He's from Northeast Ohio. Has several restaurants up in the Cleveland area that I like to go to. So I've enjoyed watching him on Chopped and all the various different little shows that he's been on the Food Network. So Michael Simon is my pick.
He's funny.
Good
Yeah.
pick. Good pick.
I like him.
You know what? Awesome. All three very good people. I'm gonna go with Emeril Lagasse.
Bam.
Growing up in going to his restaurants in New Orleans, Nola's, Emeril's. Look, great food, awesome guy. So I'm gonna go with Emeril.
Okay, I'm gonna play a John for a moment, and I'm gonna give a second choice just because I feel like I need to give her props because we haven't mentioned any female chefs.
Giada.
Manit,
Oh.
and I don't know her last name, and please forgive me, but she owns Eat EET in Disney Springs, which is way over by the Christmas shop. I do love her. She's on Food Network. She just opened that quick service restaurant in Disney Springs not long ago. Unfortunately, it's not one of the places I've visited because I tend to visit during race weekends. But she's high on my list. So I do appreciate her, and I do like her cooking. So big fan. All right. So we are getting really excited to talk about Wine and Dine race weekend. And some of us, 3 of us on this call, were on that trip. Some of us for a short period of time, some of us for a longer period of time. But our special guest, Jared. And Jared, why don't you give a quick shout out, though, because you have a YouTube channel, too. Why don't you tell everybody about that? Because I heard you had some fans of your YouTube channel out on the race course. So why don't you tell everyone your YouTube channel and how they can find you?
Oh, you embarrass me. I have a YouTube channel that I occasionally sporadically post to. So I've been doing it for a while. It's called It's the Journey on YouTube. It's itjvlog.com. If anybody is so inclined, if you are, my apologies. However, on 10K day, Stacy and I, my wife Stacy and I, we were in the corral, and I was wearing my BOGP lizard gear, so hat, shirt, and a couple of runners in the corral with us turned around and she said, "Oh, hey, we're lizards too." And I introduced myself. It's my wife Stacy. I'm Jared, and she said, "Jared, you've got the YouTube channel." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're the viewer." So it turns out this was Amy, who Jody knows, and Molly, who are be our guest podcast lizards. And got to meet them and got to actually meet up with them during the race, on the course for the half. And they pulled us into a character picture with them. It was a lot of fun. And I got to meet my fan.
I watch your YouTube channel too. So you have two of us, Jared.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
All right. So a couple of us went down for Wine and Dine race weekend. And for those of you who don't know, this is a 5K, 10K half marathon weekend. There's no full marathon on this course. The challenge is if you do the half and the 10K combined. So that's a Saturday, Sunday race. Tim and I flew on the 31st, which was a Thursday, Halloween night of October. Jared and Stacy, what day did you guys fly in?
We flew in on Wednesday, I believe it was October 30th. So we got there a little bit early, just knowing that it was going to be a jam-packed week, and just wanted to get a jump on it to not completely blow ourselves up on the first day. So we kind of got there a little early and took it easy.
Okay, so the translation of this is Jared and Stacy were smart, Jody and Tim were stupid. Okay, so that's really where it comes down to. They were smart and arrived the day early. Now, Jeff, you also arrived for Wine and Dine race weekend. When did you guys come down, and what part of the races were you involved with?
Kim and I flew in on Friday morning. So what would that be, the 1st?
November 1st, yep.
And then we ran Saturday the 10K, or ran is a very loosely used word there. We participated in the 10K on Saturday.
Awesome. All right. So
Jody, you can't do that. You can ask yourself the same question. I have to ask it for you.
Yes,
when
sir.
did you arrive?
We arrived on Halloween Day. We flew in on the 31st of October. It was a Thursday. We abandoned our children on Halloween so we won the 5-star point award from parenting. Left our kids. It was a rainy, gloomy day here for Halloween, so why not go to Florida? We flew down that morning, and we did Halloween instead of in Florida instead of doing Halloween in Ohio.
Oh, you know what? I think you chose wisely.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, you tell the kids, get used to disappointment.
I will say, for those of you who are Disney fans, our high school here has a big seniors. The seniors all dress up in group costumes and they parade throughout and they get ranked on their costumes. And my daughter and her friends dressed up as Phineas and Ferb, and the whole character from that show. So they had the fake guitars and the platypus and the whole 9 yards. So at least they were Disney bound. So.
Well, yeah, there you go. They got a little something.
Yeah. All right. So, Jared, you and Stacey arrived on Wednesday the 30th, and you flew in from the St. Louis airport?
That's correct. Yeah, we reside in Southern Illinois, but we're pretty close to St. Louis, so we fly out of the St. Louis airport.
And where did you all stay this trip?
We stayed at All Star Movies. I don't know. It's just a solid resort. Of the All Stars movies is my favorite. I think it's because it's tucked way in the back. It's kind of secluded. And I don't know. I just dig the vibe.
That's awesome. I've never stayed there. One of these days. Got to. All right. So what did you guys do on the 30th? Anything fun or did you just chill?
Kind of chilled. We booked our Guardians of the Galaxy boarding group while we were in Illinois on the way to the airport. Obviously, we kind of missed our boarding group because we were in the air when we got called. However, pro tip, if you don't already know this, you can go back at any time during the day after your boarding group has been called. They'll just let you on. That's not true for every Lightning Lane boarding group ride, but it does hold true for Guardians. If the several people that we talked to, they said, no, technically they don't have to do that, but nobody's ever been turned away. And then we also went to the Springs and enjoyed a couple of hours of shopping, grabbed some food, and just kind of had a nice relaxing day before the expo and the Halloween party the next day.
So what did you guys eat at the Springs? Because we love the Springs here. We're fans of the Springs.
Oh man, you're gonna ask me that.
I did.
Geez, that was so long ago, Lonnie. I've slept since then. I think Boathouse. Maybe it was Boathouse. No, I take that back. I know exactly what it was. It was Wine Bar George. We walked up to the, grabbed a spot at the bar, and got a couple of appetizers, a couple of cocktails, and that's what it was. We enjoyed a nice, relaxing arrival day at Wine Bar George. Love that place.
Yeah, Jeff's favorite.
You have a couple of fans of Wine Bar George on this podcast.
Very high on my list.
Yeah. I said Boathouse because that's usually the go-to, and we did eat there this trip. But yeah, it sparked a memory, Lonnie, that it was Wine Bar George for sure.
Nice.
All right. So then Thursday morning is a big day. So unlike Marathon Weekend, where the expo is on Wednesday, for this weekend, expo is on Thursday, and it happened to be Halloween day. So there was a lot going on this day. This was a very exciting day. So how did you guys spend your morning, and what did you do?
We spent our morning, we took it kind of slow, took it easy at the resort. We got our boarding group or Lightning Lane or whatever they're calling it for the expo, and headed over to the expo, got our bibs, got our shirts, and got our merch.
Wait, who did you see at the expo?
Oh, I got the best, if I may say, the best reunion greeting from one Miss Jody Binning. And I did not reciprocate. I must say I did not reciprocate. Jody approaches me like that, and I go, "Hey, Jody."
I was like, why doesn't Jared love me today? I was so sad.
I was a bit flustered because we registered for the 5K and the challenge, so that was separate registrations, and we did not have our bib numbers, and I could not for the life of me find them online anywhere, and I was.
And weren't you missing one really important piece of device?
I wasn't. My better half, Stacy, left her phone back at the resort, so couldn't look it up either.
So I was like, overly excited. You know, when you see a child who has had too much caffeine and sugar and they're all excited, like, oh my God, or like a little puppy. That was me. I was like, Jared, Stacy. Jared's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, oh, Jared doesn't love me today. So then it was an ongoing joke the rest of the weekend because I was so sad because he didn't love me the way that I wanted him to at the expo. I will say, I don't know that your expo experience was like ours, but our expo experience was chaotic and packed. And I have not experienced like that for Wine and Dine or Princess Weekend. It was really, really crazy, like long lines, um, outside queues. It was more like marathon weekend than anything else. It was pretty chaotic.
Pro tip to that, Jody: if you go on the Friday, it's empty. You walk right into everything, you get what you need, and you're in and out, and there's no problems.
You can't go on Friday though if you're running the race on Friday morning, unless you're Lonnie and you just show up late for your races.
But it wasn't Lonnie's fault that I showed up late. I just want to put it out there because I want people to think Lonnie shows up late. No, it was American Airlines' fault.
It was. It was.
Well, my expo experience, we did go that first day. We went very first thing also, and I think our expo experiences were a bit different because I thought it was one of the best run expos that I've experienced. Everything went pretty smooth. Yes, there were lines, but I was able to navigate everything that we needed. Once we got our bib numbers and we were able to pick up our race packets, everything kind of flowed pretty easily. We stopped by the merch building first, and even that flowed pretty smoothly. Again, there was queuing lines to get into the merchandise area, but once we got in there, everything seemed to be pretty well stocked. They were actually restocking things as they would run out, which that's never happened before. And everything else just kind of went pretty easy, and I've not experienced that very frequently or very often, right? With Run Disney races is an expo actually running smoothly.
What group did you get for your virtual queue for?
I got born in Group 1.
Well, yeah, that would make it a little smoother.
It helps. It helps.
I just do want to point out something about merch stuff. So I've got on one of the merch that I've got on the Swedish Chef 5K shirts right here that I purchased, which I don't normally do. They are definitely a different cut and a different sizing than in previous years. So if you're going for marathon weekend, for Princess Race weekend, for a springtime surprise, be sure to try your stuff on because they are different cuts and their sizing is very, very different. So strongly suggest that you throw it on. Try. So what I bought in Disneyland last year was way too big. What I bought now, like, barely fits, and I want to size up. So and I've gained like 2 or 3 pounds, but not that much to go that much of a size up. So definitely try your stuff on because it's most certainly a different cut, and I've heard that from a lot of people.
That goes. Oh, sorry, Jeff. Go ahead. Okay, that goes for the race shirts as well. So the shirts that they give you at the race, those are definitely a different cut. The size that I got, it fits through the body, but the arms are definitely much shorter. And I noticed that too, Jody, about Disneyland. It didn't occur to me until you just mentioned it. I bought a shirt at Disneyland that I buy in my normal size, and it is gigantic. Actually, Stacy got the same shirt as part of a pre-purchase package, and the one that she got fits me. So we kind of did a little, not trade. I stole her shirt, and she gets nothing, but she's not. Trust me, she's not lacking for anything, really. So,
I mean, look, obviously you didn't steal it. I think that shirt needed some democracy. You helped it out, right? So
she said, "I do."
So good deal. So glad yours went well, Jody. The shirts, anything else you bought? Because Gene's not here, but he loves to hear about Spirit jerseys. Did you buy a Spirit jersey?
I'm not a Spirit jersey girl. We bought a pin for Landon, a pass holder pin. The only thing I will say though, so we did buy the Wine Dine wine glasses because we like wine and it's Wine Dine, so we had to buy the wine glasses. That's one thing that we realized you can't do the mobile checkout, which we'd love to do. they didn't have any packaging, like wrapping or packaging. So if you bought a wine glass that way, you were just going to be carrying a wine glass like an actual glass walking out of the expo, just sitting in a bag. So we had to sit through the regular line to check out with that because they had the tissue and the wrapping and the regular line, but they didn't have that in the mobile checkout line. So if you're buying anything breakable, you probably want to do yourself a favor and go through the regular merch line, not the mobile checkout line. So that was a little bit of a bummer because we could have zipped out of there a lot quicker, but it is what it is. I will say the only other thing that was surprising to me, you know how there's normally characters out in the merch area.
Mm-hmm.
I was very unaware, and this was my fault, that there were magic shots there as opposed to character shots because of Muppets things. I just thought that there wasn't anything going on because I didn't see a line or people. So I thought that maybe the PhotoPass person was on break or whatever. I just made that assumption, which I shouldn't have done. But there were some really good PhotoPass opportunities that were with magic shots that I completely missed because I didn't see characters, which was my mistake. But there were some magic shots that were happening in that area with Muppets that I completely missed. So
you missed the animal shot. That's okay.
I know.
He's my favorite Muppet. Jeff, you came in. You said you came in on that Friday, so you said the expo was easy for you. Did you pick anything up? How was it? You just walked in?
Expo was great for us. We walked right in. We grabbed our stuff that we went through the merch line first. While we're talking about merch, what was your opinions of the merch there? We didn't find like the race specific or weekend specific merch to be like overwhelmingly fantastic this round, but this is the first expo I've been to in about a year. We really like the overall Run Disney merch. They changed it up from like the black and the blue to like the blue and the yellow, and I really like the color schemes on those. I got a polo and a quarter zip long sleeve that we really like that. So did you guys go through that section? Did you like that stuff differently, or what did you think of the overall merch?
I am not a good judge because I didn't buy anything. Stacy got what did she get? She got one of the jackets, one of the new tech jackets that is the race weekend jackets. I thought those were really nice. They're extremely thin, but it's kind of what you would need or what you would expect from athletic gear, being a lightweight jacket. I do like the new Run Disney, I guess, color scheme, the new designs. But again, didn't end up buying anything. I don't like buying the generic stuff. I do like buying the race weekend specific stuff. And like Jody is wearing the Swedish Chef shirt, and I am low key kind of regretting not getting that myself. They had another really good Swedish Chef shirt as well. He was chasing a chicken, I think, and said, "You're never gonna catch me," or something like that. I was like that close from buying that one too, and decided against it.
I do have to give credit. I actually did not purchase this shirt. Amy, the lizard who you were referring to before, she bought this shirt for me because they were at the expo earlier than I was. So she got this for me. So thank you, Amy, because I was really worried it was going to sell out. And again, I don't normally like, oh yeah, I did 5K, but for this, with the Swedish Chef, I needed it. I will say, Jeff, they did have some really cool Run Disney stuff. They have, I approached this woman later in the day who had some new Run Disney merch on, and like their shirts have a cutout on them. The back are little Mickey cutouts, and they're breathable. I don't know. I'm not explaining them very well, but they were super cool, and I really really like that. And they had matching pants with them, and they had some pretty nice stuff. So if you're going for one of the other race weekends, whether it be marathon weekend or Princess or Springtime Surprise, I would definitely check out the general Run Disney merch stuff because it looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. But try it on because sizings are very different than in the past.
Correct.
All right, so expo. We finished with the expo. Jared, what did you and Stacy do later that afternoon?
After the expo, I think we hung around for a little while. And what did we do? Oh yeah, we hung around. We got we got a couple of beers. And they had race weekend specific beer cups. Whereas before, right, they usually just have the generic Run Disney beer cups, and they're occasionally different colors. This time they had actual race specific weekend cups, which I thought was really cool. It was really neat. And since we were doing the Halloween party later that evening, we just went back to our hotel and rested up a little bit because we knew it was going to be a long night and a very short night as well.
We did kind of the same. We left the expo. We went to the Girling Suitcase, and we were staying at Oki West. We ordered a couple of apps and a couple of beverages, and those are cool cups. And then we proceeded to take a nap. So had to rest up for that Halloween party. And Jeff used to weren't in town, so. All right, so Jared, what time did you guys arrive for the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party?
I want to say 6:30, maybe something like that. We definitely didn't get there right at 4:00 when party members or party attendees could. Again, because we knew it was going to be a long night, and then after that, again, a short night. So, 6:30, and I think we found you pretty much right away.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, stop. You saw Jody right away. How did you greet her?
I think. Well, let's see. What did we see?
Did you like her at that time? I know
I did. I did like her.
Did you like her this time?
I did like her. We met up. I think we met up over at it was Big Thunder, right?
Yes, we met you.
So yeah, so Stacy and I were already over at Big Thunder. We were waiting for the grand, entrance, the grand arrival of the Binnings, and we could actually see them. So I'm pretty sure I gave her a pretty big wave to signal where we were. But the next morning at the 5K, I did give the huge, boisterous hello, Jody, jumped up and down. So, I got it. I paid her back a little bit.
Good. Just wanted to make sure that we had that. Okay, good deal.
But back to the party. The first thing that we did before we met up with them, we went and rode Space Mountain, which we haven't been to a Halloween party, in probably close to 20 years. And I don't know if they were doing this back then, but on Space Mountain, they run that ride during the party. 0 lights, 0 projections. Usually they have kind of like the disco ball effect going on. That's all out. There's 0 lights in there, and it is the most fun because you have no chance of knowing at all where you're going. I think it levels up the ride, in my opinion.
I agree. Hearing my husband going, oh, ah, ooh, ah, like the whole time was priceless, because you think you know which direction you're going, but when it's that dark, you truly have absolutely no idea. It was awesome.
You just have to relax and let it go.
Yeah.
Like your Ryan dinosaur. Just let it go. Just don't try to fight it. Just let it go.
Yeah, we also started off with Space, and then we went straight to Tron. We were in and off of Tron quickly, and then we went from Tron. And I think that's when we met you. We ran over to Frontierland to meet you guys at Big Thunder. And I am a Big Thunder fan, and I had to ride it before it closes for the year plus that it's about to close. So I was very happy to say goodbye to my Big Thunder for a while. And then didn't we go trick-or-treating? Did we hit a trick-or-treat trail?
We did. There was a trick-or-treat trail right by between Big Thunder and Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Why don't we talk a minute about Tiana's? Because your wife just had such an experience with that. Why don't we give a moment to talk about Tiana's?
Do we have to relive that memory?
All of our first time.
I need to know.
All of our first time on Tiana's. We were in line for Tiana's. These are my notes. We were in line for Tiana's at 7:55, and we're on by 8:15. It said a 30-minute wait. That's what I wrote down in my notes.
Wait, how long? I'm sorry.
We were in line for Tiana's at 7:55 p.m. We were on the ride by 8:15 p.m. and it said it was a 30-minute wait. So,
and once you get inside, where the mine is, now it's called the Salt Mine, was the caves previously. Best AC in all of Magic Kingdom. Just ask Tim.
Tim very much enjoyed that. We were dressed as dead bride and groom that night, and Tim had on multiple layers and very much enjoyed the air conditioning that night. So, all right. So, how did Stacy like Tiana's?
Well, a little history. Stacy does not ride Splash Mountain, or did not ride Splash Mountain. I think maybe in the years that I've known her, which has crested more than 2.5 decades. I think I can count on one hand the number of times that she's ridden Splash Mountain. She said she was going to ride Tiana's once just to see what it was like, and she's satisfied that requirement. We got stuck in the front row, and the front row is rut row. Exactly. You get soaked in the front row, and we both did. I think Stacy, if it's possible, got a little more wet than I did, but we were both drenched from head to toe. The ride was good. So here's my quick 30-second recap of the ride. The beginning of the ride, I think, it doesn't feel complete, right? So and I don't think all of the animatronics were working at full capacity or full working mode that night. So it kind of made the ride a little underwhelming. Now, once you went down the drop and into the big show building, everything was working, and that scene in there was by far the best. It was spectacular. I mean, there was so much going on in there. They had all kinds of animatronics. Everything was working. The music was all working. That, I think, really made the ride great, as opposed to just, it's a reskin, a retheme of a previous ride. I think that party scene after the drop really seals the deal on making that a good ride.
Even though you were drenched.
Even though we were drenched.
Yeah, we had a very unhappy Stacy for a while there after, because they were quite wet. So be prepared, especially if you're in the first row. Then we did some trick or treating, and Jared and Stacy learned some very important things about Jody and her candy.
And what's that, Jody?
Ask
If
Jared.
it's not chocolate, Jody doesn't eat it.
Don't put it in my bag. I don't want it. It's going to poison the chocolate. I don't want it near it. You take those gummy worms and those Skittles and those whatever things. I don't want it near my chocolate. Go away. Not interested.
Mm-hmm.
Not interested. Chocolate purist. So we did some trick or treating. We walked onto Pirates. We did some PhotoPass photographers, and then we did fireworks. We got in line for the fireworks. We had a great view for the fireworks, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. We were around the perimeter of the hub. I think off to the left. If you're facing Castle, we were off to the left. Great spot for the fireworks. Fireworks were really good. I kind of missed the perimeter fireworks. I don't know when they stopped doing that, but that was always one of the highlights for me. But even without it, it's still a great show. Really good show. Had a good time and great company too.
Then we went back over we went to Haunted Mansion. We rode Haunted, and then we were in and out of there pretty quickly. And then we went to Frontierland to get a spot for the parade. And this is where I think we made a critical error. So none of us are Disney newbies, right? Like, we all know Disney. We all know the parade path. We should know better. We did not think this through. So, Jared, you want to talk about what we did and how this worked?
Well, it wasn't so much the viewing spot that we had for the
viewing
parade.
spot was great.
The viewing spot was great. It was trying to exit the park from Frontierland after the parade had left Frontierland. You go to the front of the park, the direction where the parade is heading. And we were on the Emporium side of the park. And where does the parade exit? Right by the firehouse next to the Emporium. You can't cross the street to exit the park. So we had to pretty much watch, I think, half of the parade again while we were trying to get out of the park so we could get some sleep before the 5K. Didn't work out.
So if I was to do it again, I would watch the parade on the other side of Frontierland. So you're closer to like the Haunted Mansion side, is how I'd explain it. So you can go to if you're leaving the park, you're closer to like Tony's Town Square, where we were closer to the Emporium because we were trapped and we couldn't cross the street and we were stuck there. Had we been over by Tony's Town Square, or Tony's Town, what is that place called? Tony's restaurant, little late in the trip restaurant. If we were over there, we would have been able to leave, and we were watching people leave, and we were just trapped. And we couldn't go anywhere. So that was a little frustrating, knowing that we had to be up in just like an hour and a half to go run a 5K. So note to self: make sure you're careful where you watch the parade, because none of us thought that through. We just thought we had this really great place to watch the parade in Frontierland, which we did. We had a really great place. Just was not great for exiting.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the parade? Not the parade. I'm sorry. The whole Mickey's Not So Scary for this night. Because you went on Halloween, which is awesome, right? So, is it worth it going back? I'm sure. 1 to 10. What would you give it?
Out of 1 to 10, yeah, I'd probably give it a solid 7.5.
That's good. Okay.
I'd give it a solid 8. Now, we didn't bother with any of the characters. Maybe because we're Run Disney people, characters were not important to us, or at least to Tim and I. I've met Jack and Sally. I've seen Winnie the Pooh. Like, I don't need to see them. So we didn't waste any time with that. We did some rides. We did the show. We did the parade. We did the fireworks. We did rides. We did some trick-or-treating, not as much as I wanted to do, but we did some trick-or-treating. So I'd give it a solid 8. But I love that parade. For me, the parade is solid.
Boo to You, to me, is the best parade.
I agree.
I mean, I think we talked about that in the previous episode. Grave Diggers, It's Good to Be Bad. It's just a great parade.
Yeah.
So you guys did finally escape Magic Kingdom. You went back to the rooms. The buses, I'm sure it took a while to get there as well. Old Key West is huge. So, I don't know where you stayed in proximity to the bus stop and all that kind of good stuff. But let's talk about 5K morning, right? We're kicking it off. You guys actually got home that morning anyway. So what bus did you catch? What time did you get to the start line?
Yeah, so we got back to our room at 12:33 in the morning, and we were out of our room at 2:55 a.m.
You shouldn't have went back to your room. You should have just stayed out.
Well, we tried to sleep and it didn't happen. I think we were just too excited and we just could hear everything. So we drove from our room, which was, Jeff, where was our room? Off of Turtle Pond something?
Off of Turtle Pond, yeah.
Yeah, so
building 30 or 32.
I was 30, you were 32 or something like that. So we drove to the front because at Old Key West, they only pick up at the hospitality suite. So we drove up there, got on the bus. We were on the bus at 2:55 in the morning. So before 3, there were tons of buses out there. And we went on over to the 5K because it was important to me to get in line for characters before the race started. So I didn't know who they'd have out. I was hoping for a lot of Muppets. So we got there early. But Jared and Cece, that's not what you did.
Yeah, what did you guys do, Jared?
So I'm looking at our pictures, and we are in the car. We drove from movies to Epcot for the beginning of the race. We are in the car at 2:34 in the morning. And I think by the time we made it to Epcot, made it through security, and made it to the meetup area, it was probably 3:30, maybe. Yeah, pretty close to 4. So yeah, all in all, about an hour to get from movies, driving, and over to the starting area.
And that's AM, people. For those of you who don't do Run Disney races, we're talking 2:30 and 3 o'clock AM. So that race, what did you guys dress as?
So I dressed in the spirit of the Muppets as the Swedish chef, and Stacy dressed as one of the Muppet chickens. So during the race, right, I could be the chef chasing the chicken.
All right,
I think they turned out pretty darn good.
They were amazing, you guys. Your eyebrows and your mustache were fabulous, but I need to hear hydrate. So everybody tune in because Jared gave his best Swedish Chef hydrate that I heard the entire weekend. No
So
pressure.
to set this up, right? The 5K was themed around Muppets, and at the beginning of the race on the stage with the presenters with Carissa with Pelkey, they had the Swedish Chef on stage with them, and they're going through and doing their banter, and Carissa, reminds everybody in the crowd. Remember, it's Florida. It's hot. It's humid. Remember to hydrate. And the Swedish Chef goes, hydrate, as they were handing it off to Riley out in the crowd. And what was better, not that he just did it that one time, hydrate. Whenever they took it back to the stage, and then they tossed it off to him again. As soon as Riley shows up on the screen, you hear hydrate again.
So it was pretty awesome to have Jared as not only dressed as a Swedish Chef, but like giving the true Swedish Chef hydrate. You should have been giving that advice to Jared. You should have been giving that advice to Jeff.
I did not get the memo.
Yeah.
We won't
Very
get into
important.
those
It's very
details.
important.
It is very important, and we won't go into these details. But thank your medical staff.
So 5K to me was the pretty boring 5K for mile 1.25. You see nothing, and then all of a sudden it's fun. So the first half of the race is backstage, no characters, no anything, and then you're like, oh, now I'm at a Run Disney race, and now it's fun. I wish they would have had a little more Muppets on the course or Muppet something. I think they could have done it. There was no Gonzo, there was no Fozzie Bear, there was no anything. Even if they had them like behind a screen, like you couldn't approach them, like behind cones or glass or something. I get that they're Muppeteers, but you could have had somebody standing there with that. So I really wish there would have been a little bit more Muppets, but it was still a good race. It was hot though, and I learned very quickly you do not wear feathers for races.
We've not learned that lesson yet.
Yeah, Stacy wore feathers.
I mean, look, Jared said hydrate.
He did. I didn't. Hydrating and wearing the right clothing is not the same thing. So, fun race. I'm lack of sleep.
How long did it take you to complete it?
Hour?
Now, so you actually, you didn't take it slow. Like I think the last race we did, was it 2 hours? We did a 5K.
I was dressed as Phenomena, and I had the snooth on both my hands. I had to pull a snooth off because it was so hot, and then pulled my hat off because it was so hot. And before the finish line, because you have to get good finish line photos, Tim had to like redress me and put my hat back on and my snooth back on my hand just so we could see Sweetums at the finish line. So it was hot. It was hot.
Or was it a dry heat?
No.
Okay, that's bad. That's bad. Okay, well, I understand why, because I think last Duck 5K was 2 hours, maybe. I don't know. I just remember them telling us y'all need to leave this stand. That was in
Disneyland. They were mad at us.
Yeah, they were mad at us. Jared, how long did it take you to do the 5K, sir?
I think trying to remember when we got off. It was probably around 45 minutes to an hour for us as well.
Oh, okay. Good deal.
It's a fun run. You don't rush through these things because you've got more miles to do the next day, and they don't time you. So nothing better to do than to take your time and enjoy it. Enjoy the scenery.
Absolutely. So race is over. What did you guys do? You mentioned, you guys were out all night basically. So I'm assuming you went back, got some rest.
We Stacy and I went back to movies. I know about the time that we got to the food court because we learned that they open at 6:30 a.m. and they were not yet opened when we walked up to the food court. So we got to rope drop the food court at All Star Movies, and it was glorious. We had what was it? A tacho bowl, breakfast bowl, and some Mickey waffles, of course. You have to have that. And then we went back to the room and we slept. I think we took about a 3-hour nap, which that's probably a first for us on a Disney vacation, but it was a much needed nap. After that, we went over to our favorite park, or I'm gonna call it my favorite park, Hollywood Studios. It's my favorite park. It has my favorite ride, Baseline Tap House.
I had to solicit the help of my husband to get out of my costume because I was so hot and sticky and gross, feathers don't breathe, that he had to pull it off of me. And then I proceeded to throw my costume in the garbage can outside of Old Key West because I was that mad about it. I have a picture at 6:53 in the morning, me throwing away my shirt and my hat because I was over it. I didn't throw away my snooze, but I threw away the rest of it. So at 6:53 in the morning, I threw that stuff away, and then we showered and napped. And then we also went to Hollywood Studios that day. We didn't see you though that day.
I think you got there before us. I think you sent a picture from Baseline before we even made it to the park.
So we ended up we did buy Lightning Lane that day because Tim was like, I want to get through a bunch of stuff, and we got through everything. Like we were just rocking and rolling. We did Slinky Dog, we did Toy Story Mania, we did Tower, we did Rock and Roller Coaster. I mean, we got through everything. The only thing we didn't do was Mickey and Minnie. That was down at earlier part of the day. So we were at Baseline. Jared, I think we said 1:54 in the afternoon. We sent you a picture from Baseline that we were there. So, and then we went to the Springs that night to meet up with Wade and Shelly and Beth to go to Raglan Road. So that was our day.
Look, I'm a big fan of using Lightning Lane at Hollywood Studios. To me, that's the one park that is essential for us. So glad you guys had a great time. So back to the room, rest up. Next morning, 10K. Jeff, you're on the scene now.
Jared, what did you guys go for dinner that night?
Well, we went to Springs and ate at Frontera Cucina. Met up. So a coworker of mine lives down in Tampa, and coworkers were spread across the states, the whole nation here. So you have me in St. Louis and my coworker down in Tampa working on the same team together. So while I was down in Orlando, I sent her a note and said, hey, if you want to come up and join us, while we're here, we'd love to have you. And they made it was a 2-hour journey in traffic for them from Tampa up to Springs, but we met them for dinner at Frontera Cucina. Had a great dinner. It's a Rick Bayless. As we're talking about celebrity chefs, it's a Rick Bayless restaurant. I think it's a sleeper in the Springs because we've eaten there several times. It's easy to grab a reservation, or it's easy to walk up to, and the food has always been dynamite. But we had dinner with my coworker and her family, and had a nice relaxing evening at the Springs before the 10K.
All right, so now let's go to 10K. Jeff,
right,
you're on the scene.
You arrived.
Yes, we got in.
Yeah, Jeff's on the scene.
Yep.
Ready for the 10K. So Jeff, you stayed at Old Key West as well, correct?
We were at Old Key West as well. We got in on Friday, like I said, and we did dinner at the Plaza, watch Happily Ever After, and called it a night. So it was a quick night for us too. Friday morning, we met up with Jody, around 3? A little right around 3:15 maybe.
3:07 is when I have a picture of my husband with the hat on that he did not wear. Yes, but so it was shortly after that.
Yeah, we met them in the parking lot in front of their hotel, and we rode over with them to the corrals in their car in the morning.
Yeah, so we drove. So Jared and Stacey drove the day before, and I was asking Jared, like, what's it like to drive to a race? I've never driven to a race. I normally don't have a car for race weekends. And he's like, oh, it's great. You should drive. So literally, Jeff and Kim were 2 buildings down for us. So they came with us and we drove directly there. And that was nice. Mm-hmm. It was really nice just to drive there and not have to deal with anything. That was a nice treat. I see why you like driving there, Jared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never am at Disney World without a car, whether it be my own or a rental.
Okay. I like it. You like it. So 10K starting. Let's get into it. How did you guys enjoy it? Character stops. What you guys were dressed like? I want to hear it all.
We took a rare moment or a rare piece here and did not dress in a costume. We dressed as runners for the 10K. It doesn't happen often, but life kind of gets in the way, and you don't always have time to make a costume. And I've said before, right? The length of time that we've been running in costume, the hardest thing has become getting ideas for your next costume. So we ran as runners for the 10K, had a good time for that. This is where I think the Run Disney races really start to shine, because it's more than a 5K, right? It's more than just doing like 1.25 miles in backstage areas where it's boring, and then you hit World Showcase for the 5K, and then the next thing you know, the race is over. When you're doing the 10K, you run right through World Showcase, you run through the boardwalk or around the boardwalk, and then back into Epcot and get to run a little bit of the front of the park. So you get that feeling of actually running a race in a park for more than just a hot minute. So I really like the 10K. It's probably my favorite distance. I think Stacy has mentioned it's her favorite distance as well. The funny thing about Florida is it's always hot, regardless of time of day, regardless of time of year. It's always hot. It's always muggy. It's not pleasant running conditions, but it's just a great race, and the 10K is, again, probably our favorite.
It's my favorite course. I love it. So Jeff, you were there. You and Kim were there that morning. So Jared and Stacey were dressed as runners. Tim and I were dressed as Tiana and Dr. Felicia, and he did not wear his hat. Bad Tim. Jeff, what were you and Kim?
Kim was in a Tiana bounded outfit, and I was her frog. So.
And it was, let me just say, it was hot and humid that morning. My eyelashes were actually sweating. Like, I had drips of water coming off my eyelashes, and I don't wear fake eyelashes. I don't do anything to plush my eyelashes, as I don't have like beautiful, long, glorious eyelashes. I have normal, regular human eyelashes, and they were drips of water coming off my eyelashes. It was hot that morning.
It was.
And I was not wearing anything crazy for a costume that morning. I was just in a Tiana type of dress. Tim complained the whole time. He thought his shirt was crazy hot. He was in a normal running shirt. I don't know. But Jeff, you were wearing a hat.
I was.
A frog covered hat that did not breathe.
It did not. No. It was quite warm. We walked the 10K. This was my first race back since Disneyland. Finally trying to get back into a little bit. We didn't want to overdo it, so we just walked the entire thing. We jogged intervals for maybe a mile or so, but we had plenty of buffer because I was in the B corral. Actually, I was in A corral, but I dropped back with the non-elite runners. But we walked the entire thing. I think we were like a 2-hour, 13-minute pace. We stopped for characters for Jiminy Cricket. We stopped for Mickey Mouse. Didn't feel bad at all. It kind of cramped up a little bit, but didn't realize I was dehydrating as much as I was. So, but it was definitely hot that day.
It was quite warm. We stopped for Naveen. He was a great Naveen. Really weird backdrop. We stopped for, oh gosh, I don't even remember who was out that day. Remy was out that day. Mickey, we stopped for Donald. And then we were supposed to meet with Jeff and Kim at French Quarter because they were like, oh, we're going to go to French Quarter. We're like, so this is one thing I did learn this race weekend. We were going to go to Pop Century, and we had a car, and we go to Pop Century, and the guard would not let us in. The guard was like, nope, not letting anybody in. Because it's a Skyliner resort, and because it was a race weekend, they went, even though we had a mobile order, they would not let us into Pop Century. So we went to French Quarter. The guard there was like, come on in, have some beignets. Life is good. Come, So we walked to French Quarter. We got our bagel sandwich that we love. We got some beignets. We took a lot of pictures. So just FYI, if you're trying to go to a different resort during marathon weekend, or I don't know, maybe on any other time, be aware, because we were turned down from a guard, and my very hungry, very hot husband did not maybe handle that with the best, the most grace. So
we've had a similar experience, Jody, at Riviera. trying to go in without a reservation or without anything like that. We just wanted to go to Topolino's to pop into the lounge, and we got turned away as well because I believe that it's a Skyliner hotel as well, and I think they're pretty strict about that. So not being able to park at the resort that we wanted, to go up to the restaurant, we drove over, since we're annual pass holders, to the studios and just took the Skyliner over anyway. So we, circumvented the system. But yeah, I mean, we that all that to say, right, is we've run into that same thing. It's frustrating, and I don't know, it just it burns, right? That you're so close, but you can't touch it.
Yeah. So anyway, so we had breakfast at French Quarter, took our pictures, had some beignets, had our yummy bagel sandwich, went back, took a shower. I think we took another nap that morning. I can't remember because we had a great afternoon that afternoon. Well, Jeff, do you want to talk about your morning or no?
Yeah, Jeff, anything special happened?
We'll leave it at I was overly hydrated, had some cramping issues, and then whenever I finally got onto my feet, it caused some blood pressure issues to happen because it all hit at once from the dehydration. And the medical team there, for the most part, took great care of me and got me back up and running within a half hour or so. Not running, but back on my feet within a half hour or so. So it got a little bit of an exciting morning. We made it back to the hotel after missing beignets and sandwiches, which we hoped to have had. Took about a 2-hour nap, and then we got on with the rest of our day.
So can I get another hydrate, Jared? Come on.
Hydrate.
When you're in Florida, be sure to hydrate because that heat will get you. So we took a nap. We met you all. Jared, where did we meet you all that afternoon?
We met at the Coronado, and more specifically at the Three Bridges restaurant for a special event that Jody, you coordinated for all of us. Well, for the four of us. And this
Sangria University.
Sangria University.
Lonnie, you've done that before, right?
Yes, I did. Enjoyed very much.
We were kind of reluctant participants because neither Stacy nor myself are very much into wine. We're not wine people, but we thought we'd give it a shot. We trust Jody. Right? She's not gonna steer us wrong. And boy, did she not steer us wrong? That was a great event. That was really fun.
They give you 4 pre-made cocktails and then you make your own. I will say, Jared and Stacey, you guys won the making of the cocktail, which no surprise. Jared made like an old fashioned and Stacey made like this peanut butter and jelly drink that was phenomenal. So if you can get that reservation, lots of fun. Very educational, a lot of talking, a little more talking than I expected, but it was a good time. I'm glad we did it. Went for another beverage afterwards. Then we ate dinner at Ale and Compass that night, which was fine. I like breakfast more than dinner. And then we went to bed at a reasonable hour that night. Jeff, where did you go that night?
We did not go to bed at a reasonable hour that night. We ended up getting ready and we went out for a nice dinner at Les Celliers. It was one of the best meals I've had on property in a long time. We got the ribeye for 2. It's like a 32-ounce bone-in ribeye. We each got a side. They had 5 different sauces that we could pick from but we got the flight, so we had them all. Couple drinks, couple desserts, or got a dessert. Then we left there, watched Luminous. That was my first time seeing that. Went to the bake shop on the boardwalk, which is an interesting experience. Not sure I have the need to have to go back there, but glad we got to go in and see once. Then we went to Jelly Rolls and spent the evening at Jelly Rolls till 1:30 or so before we went back and called it the night.
At the bake shop, did you get anything?
We got an apple pie a la mode and a hot chocolate for $40.
$100.
And it was not a very big piece of apple pie a la mode. And it was total for that and the hot chocolate was $40.
And this was, I'm sorry, you got this on premises? You didn't get this to go?
We had it. We didn't go into restaurant. We went into the little dessert cafe, thing off to the right-hand side. And we had it and sat out by the waterfront and ate it.
I'm very curious about this place because, especially dining in, because the people that I have seen that have eaten in there said that they reluctantly, went there or thought that it was, not going to be, live up to the hype, right, or whatever it was. And and they all of them really liked it. They speak very highly of it and can't wait to go back. So that's why I was curious about your experience of it.
The apple pie was okay. It wasn't anything special to write home about, especially for the price. I could not pull the trigger on a $25 piece of cake. We went back and forth. I couldn't do it. So, but I guess at Cake Shop you should have got the cake instead of the pie. I don't know.
I don't know. I've heard the meals are great, but the cake is so. So I don't know. I haven't tried it.
It's a $17 peanut butter sandwich on the kids menu. You know, it's a tough one to swallow.
Grind their own peanuts?
It's probably Uncrustable.
All right. Well, we attempted to go to bed early that night because we maybe had a few more beverages than we should have.
No.
You know, Sangria University and then drinks and dinner, but we had a good time. So
I count that the four of us collectively went back for one more. And then on the way back to All-Star Movies, Stacy and I have to drive by the Coronado, which in the lobby of the Coronado has our favorite lounge, the Barcelona Lounge. So we may or may not have stopped on the way back for yet one more before calling it a night at the movies before the half.
Not a part of that. I was in bed.
It was a one and done. I told Stacy we're going in for one, and I'm ordering drinks and the bill
At the same time. So then, Wani, we finally made it to the last day.
Half marathon day. First off, was it hot?
Yes.
Hottest day yet,
Right.
I think.
Oh, wow. So the longest distance, the hottest race for the weekend. All right. What time did you guys get
it was
there?
the hottest. We got there, so Stacy and I had progressively been getting there later and later each day as the days went on. I think we rolled up to the reunion area. Oh, so here's the thing. So we drove. We got detoured on the way to Epcot. They had the road closed between All Stars in front of what's the water park?
Blizzard Beach.
Blizzard Beach, yes, thank you so much. Yes, they had the road closed by Blizzard Beach, so we couldn't drive on World Drive there. We had to take a detour to get around to get there. So we were a little bit delayed and then detoured as well. So we were walking up to the reunion area, I think right at 4:30. And I think what they were asking for what Run Disney asked for is all of the runners who arrived by 4. So we're a little bit behind and go straight to the corrals. So we didn't get to have any
Yeah, you missed the lizard picture.
Yeah, we didn't get to have any pre-run socialization. But, you know, a little bit of stress, but we still made it there on time, and we still made it into one of the relatively first corrals, or mini corrals of our corral.
Yeah, we took off at 5:06 is what my photo stamp says. And it got hot though. It got hot quickly. And at 6:41, I took a lovely picture in front of Blizzard Beach that I sent to all of you, giving it a big poopy face and thumbs down, bad, because you know we didn't run through Blizzard Beach this time, but we ran around the outside of Blizzard Beach. So that didn't make me happy. Swedish Chef was on the course at mile 9. That was pretty cool. We had Brenda and Beth cheering on the course. That was awesome. And the highlight for Jody and Tim, does anyone know what happened to us that day?
We all know what happened to you that day, Jody. We have all heard what happened to you that day, Jody.
I don't know, Jody. What happened? You piqued my interest.
What happened? Tim and I got pulled off the course at mile 12 by a special Run Disney photographer and got our picture taken, and we're on the Run Disney socials. So that was super fun. And our costumes were not at all by far any of the best costumes on the course. We saw some really amazing people. So how we got chosen, I have no idea. Right place, right time, I guess. But that's pretty fun. But it was a hot morning, Jared. It was hot.
The air was very, very thick that day.
Yeah.
And on the Run Disney photo spotlight, welcome to the club.
I know you've been there before.
Oh, multiple times. Jared's been on there. I remember he had a picture where he was dressed as photopass photographers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And porgs.
What were you dressed at this time?
Today, for the half, we dressed as PhotoPass photographers again. However, it was the new uniform, the new costume. So the green shirts instead of the fishing vests or the adventure vests.
And shout out to our friend Kim, who was a PhotoPass photographer. She was on the course all 3 days, and she took some amazing photos. So shout out to Kim. She was great
Absolutely.
for capturing us in all of our glory. So that was a fun race. The last mile 1 through 6 was fun. Mile 7 through 12 kind of was bleh. It was a lot of hot sun and highway miles, but
Yeah, the highway miles were the later miles, and we got off a little bit later than Jody and Tim did. I think we got off about 5:30, 5:36 maybe. So right around the time we were hitting the roads is right when the sun was coming up. No bueno. It was pretty brutal out there.
it's hot. Yeah. So that was a fun day. We went back and napped again. Did you guys nap?
I think so. I'm pretty. We had to have napped. Back, but before that, on the course, there was a moment where we got a photo with one of our favorite Muppets, Jody.
Sweetums?
Sweetums was on the course. He was doing selfie mode only. So you weren't able to line up or queue up and get a official photo pass photo with him. But he was out there for selfies, and I think we all snagged a selfie with Sweetums.
Or some of us gave our phone to another runner and asked them to take a picture, and they failed.
To get some the photo.
So
lessons may have been learned that day.
anyway, yeah, so we're not going to talk about that. But we went back and napped. Everybody napped. We woke up, and then because we had the after party that night, so we had to nap.
Yeah, definitely. You just reminded me. Yeah, the after party, we did go back and take a nap. We went to Boathouse for brunch before we got back for that nap, just to get some food in our bellies, and we were tired of the food court 2 days in a row, so headed over to Boathouse for brunch.
And then Jeff, we got to meet up with you and Kim again, and we got to meet up with Carrie and Holly, which was awesome. We haven't seen them. I haven't seen them in a couple of years. So that was fun at Epcot. Hang out a little bit, try some of the food and wine beverages and cheese, lots of cheese. And then Jared and Stacey, we met up with you guys. We met up with Wade and Shelley. We went through kind of all the places, right?
Yes, we did. We took a grand tour of World Showcase. Do you have a best of the fest, Jody, for food and or drink?
I do. For me, I actually love the Borzen fig cheesecake. Was probably my favorite thing that I had the entire festival. As for beverages, no, none of them blew me away. There wasn't one beverage that I loved, but the Borzen Borzen fig cheesecake I loved.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, I can't.
So for me, kind of a left field result for me, and it was from the Hawaii booth. It was the rice bowl with Spam and eggs.
Yeah, that looked good.
Outstanding. I wanted 12 of them. They were so good. As far as beverage, I'm going to call this a festival beverage because it is in the Future World, whatever they're calling that now. They have a best of the festival kiosk up there, and they have the three daughters. That's what it is. 3 daughters Beach Blonde Ale. Best beer in all of Epcot. You can get that pretty much all the time. Early? They did close it. No, so at the front of the park, that was still open. That stayed open. You can get that. You can get that Beach Blonde Ale at any time at American Adventure at the Block and Hans beer stand. You can get it there anytime, but they do have it as a festival beer up at the front of the park.
The one thing that I will say that I did not love about the party, I really enjoyed the party, but all of us were out at the American Pavilion having a really nice time. And then someone's like, let's go see what the Guardian wait is. So we left American Pavilion. We walked all the way up to Guardians because there's no wait time listed on the app, only to find out that it's a 2-hour wait. And then we walked from Guardians over to Soarin' to find out it's a 45-minute wait. So I wish they could get that information to after party guests better, because that was a lot of excess walking that those of us who had just run 24, 22, whatever miles we had run wasn't really necessary. Like I wouldn't have walked. I would have just stayed in American Pavilion. I didn't need to go to Guardians, but we were like, let's try it out. And so that was a little bit of a bummer, but anyway. So fun weekend. Jared, what was your highlight out of all the races, out of all the stuff, out of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party? What was the one thing that you liked? Like your one, or not maybe one, but what was one of your highlights?
Highlight. Probably seeing the Swedish Chef on stage with John and Carissa. I've always been a big fan of the Muppets, but to see them live and to see their improv capabilities live with a Muppet, it's incredible.
Hydrate.
Hydrate. Yes, the Swedish Chef is always funny. Never
Jeff,
not
what about
funny.
you? What was your highlight from that weekend, other than almost dying? What was one of your favorite highlights?
Just the whole weekend itself. That was kind of a first meetup from this time last year, whenever I was down there with Lonnie and his family and the crew. That was the weekend I met Kim. So we kind of took this weekend to kind of celebrate that and just kind of do some things we haven't done and just hang out with people and see people. And a lot of people I haven't seen in over a year. So it's just the whole weekend was just about friends and family and getting to see people and spend time with people.
Lonnie, what was your favorite highlight from that weekend? Seeing Jody and Tim on the socials?
Mine has to be just following along how Run Disney kept just posting pictures of you guys over and over. I mean, you guys made it to their Instagram, to their Facebook. I mean, literally, I just want,
We're just trying to achieve Jared and Stacy status.
I think you did it. I mean, it's don't get me wrong, Jared's been doing it a long time, so he's been in a lot of Run Disney pics. But
I think more importantly than the Disney socials was the fact that your daughter reposted it under her Instagram. I think that should be like a bigger.
She claimed
to the
us.
next level.
Yeah, she claimed us. Willingly claimed us. Yeah, shocking. All right. Any other highlights anybody wants to talk about? Any great things that happened? We ready for the best part of the night, Lonnie?
Well, one more thing to share. While we were there live as it happened, they brought breakfast back to Satuli Canteen at Animal Kingdom. So whenever Pandora first opened, they had breakfast at Satuli Canteen for maybe 2 months, and they took it away. So in the 7-8 years that they've been open, they've been operating without breakfast. They brought it back, baby. So we had to go and get it. I think on Monday we went in there.
Was it good?
Oh yes, it was very good.
I've never had the breakfast, so I'm excited.
Very good.
All right, who's ready to quack up? Who's going first?
Jody, why don't you kick us off?
Okay. So to stick with our, Wine Dine chef cooking, Tim and I do Meatless Monday with the kids, and we try really hard to do our part, but I've just never really understood why people dislike vegans, because I've just never had any beef with them. I tried. All right.
Jared, crack us up.
All right. Christmas season right around the corner. So I'm out the other day and getting the Christmas tree, for the season. And my son asked me, "Are you going to put this up yourself?" I told him, "No, I'll probably just put it up in the living room." Feel free to cut that.
No, that's going to stay on. That's going to be the Ducks After Dark edition.
I can't follow that. Lonnie, you're going to have to go.
All right, so I'll try, but I can't follow it either. Why did the tomato blush?
Why did the tomato blush?
Because it saw the salad dressing.
Scandalous.
Well, mine's in honor of the Halloween parties. What is a vampire's favorite fruit?
What is a vampire's favorite fruit?
A nectarine.
Oh, of course it is.
Yay.
All right.
Well, guys, thanks so much for recapping Wine and Dine. I don't know, but you guys have just fired me up more to start running. Well, actually, I don't like running, so it doesn't fire me up, so I'm lying. But I am going to be at Marathon Weekend. So there you go. We'll do that. Okay. Jared, are you doing Marathon Weekend, right?
Yeah, we are. This will be dopey number 7 for us. We've collected 7 dwarfs.
That's a lot. That's a lot of miles.
That's a lot of dwarfs.
Can't wait to see what you're dressed as. I know Jody's doing it because it's what Jody does. I'm still trying to convince Jeff to pop up and hang out, but I don't think it's
not going to be in the cards this year, unfortunately.
That's all right, man. We'll be thinking about you the whole time.
I'm sure you will.
All right. So once again, guys, if you like what you hear, please go on the socials and give us a like and then subscribe. I have this special announcement from Gene. He said that, look, he couldn't be here, but as always, the lawyers are busy at work. So I have the following disclaimer. The following post-podcast announcement was carefully crafted without the esteemed oversight of Gene, the widely acknowledged heart, soul, and reservoir of Disney knowledge for Disney with the Ducks. Any gaps in Disney wisdom, particularly those glaringly felt by Gene's absence, should not alarm listeners. John, Jody, Lonnie, and Jeff, well, actually, let's go back with that because obviously he doesn't know what he's talking about. He wasn't here. So Jared, Jody, Lonnie, and Jeff did their best under these circumstances.
Too many J names.
So we were treated to Jared's recount of his Wine and Dine race adventures, which were reported with all the verve and insight of Gene less evening could muster. You know, Gene has a unrealistic expectation of himself, I think. I'm just going to say that. We apologize if any magical details were, shall we say, less than impeccably accurate, or if you sensed a subtle undercurrent of a Gene-induced sorrow. Please note that Disney with the Ducks does not guarantee accuracy, sincerity, or decorum whenever the podcast operates under 100% gene-free condition. Listeners are strongly advised to stay tuned for a future episode where Gene, the true North Star of Disney knowledge, may return. Until then, quack responsibly.
Thank you, Gene. That was wonderful. Our lawyers appreciate it.
I don't know what to say after that, except bye, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.